Welcome to Lesson 2, Circuit Playground Express, Topic 5. We're going to learn how to work with capacitive touchpads, which are those metal pieces around the Circuit Playground Express, which return a range of values from 0 to 1023, like some other components. In exploring these values, we will use the serial print and the serial monitor like we've done in the past. But additionally, we're going to introduce a new command called delay, which is going to allow us to slow down the loop so we can look at the values a little closer. So let's get to it. Going back to our website, the Ada Circuit Playground Reference Library, there is a function called recap, which will allow us to read the capacitive touches. If you look at the parameters, it's looking for a 0, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, or 12, which don't seem to really correlate to the numbers that are associated with the Circuit Playground. And I'm going to show you a picture so we can make that comparison. So here we go. So if you look at the Circuit Playground, we have such, the listings of like A0, A1, A2, A3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When we look at the function, it's looking for numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 12. That's because those numbers have to do with the internal wiring of the pins on the Circuit Playground. Whereas these are the numbers that or I should say Adafruit has simply manufactured to label each of those capacitive touches. So I have a slide back on the presentation that's going to kind of explain the mapping. So in order to read capacitive touchpad that's labeled A1, you would do a recap of 6. And then A2 is 9, and so on. So you're going to need to kind of know this mapping between what's labeled on the Circuit Playground and the recap position that it's looking for. I also want to show you something else because I'm not going to be able to demonstrate this to you. But you can see here in this picture, they've actually attached alligator clips to various fruits. And the idea is that these capacitive touchpads measure connectivity. So pretty much whatever you can use to conduce some kind of an output with the Circuit Playground will work. And there's some really cool projects you can do with that. But let's get into code now. So we're going to go in here and we'll do our serial print line of Circuit Playground dot read cap of, I'm going to go back to my presentation for a second because I want to do 5, which happens to be a recap of 2. So I'm going to do a recap of 2. And I think that's enough. Let's save it. Let's run it. And I think, do I have my serial monitor up? I don't believe so. So while we're waiting for it to compile, it's going. Okay. So pull up our serial monitor. And we can see that we're reading values somewhere around 100, 200. There's a lot of fluctuation in the values. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the camera up, push this off to the side. And I'm going to touch the capacitive touch labeled A5, which is this one right here. And I want you to watch the values. You can see the values start changing. We get values that are definitely 4 digits. I think it's maybe 1017. If you look a little closer, it looks like there's a 500, there's still 200, maybe a 700. And this is where we're going to need to introduce something so we can see the values a little closer. So I'm going to put this back down, go back to the code, and we're going to introduce a delay. Now, delay is measured in milliseconds. So if I do a delay of 100, that means 1/10 of a second. I think that's going to be enough for us to kind of get a sense of what these values are that we're getting back from the read capacitive touch. So let's upload it again. Okay, so let's go back to our serial monitor. And the first thing you'll notice, the numbers are definitely popping up a lot slower. And you also notice there's no consistency in the number. It's definitely within a range. So now I'm going to touch the capacitive touch on 5. And you can see there it starts to jump. We got a couple of values, 10,000, 800. One observation you could definitely make is that they're all generally above 200. Occasionally you'll get that value of 0 in there. So, oops, almost forgot to bring the camera to prove to you that I'm touching it. So let's put the camera back on. Here it is. I'm touching 5, and you can see that the values start to go up. I'm going to release it, values are down. So that's going to be important for you to understand when we go into decision making, the type of information we're getting from the capacitive touch pads when we actually press it. I'm going to go back to the website just to kind of show you again. Again, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the capacitive touch pads in terms of projects. Now, the other thing that you can do, if you kind of look at some of them, you'll see that some of them are listed 3.3 volts, ground. You can actually attach external components to this through these capacitive touch pads where the circuit playground can provide the power and the ground, and then these can provide a signal to the particular device. But again, that's for a future lesson. So let's go back to our presentation. And in this lesson, we covered how to work with the capacitive touch pads, seeing that it's a range of values, and we introduced the delay, a way of us being able to slow down our process. Thank you.